Hello and welcome to the Dreams Come True podcast sports edition. I'm Austin Hinson. This is
Ryan Monroe, the prediction king.
Man, oh man, we had a fun week this week, didn't we?
Oh yeah,
It was an interesting week in sports.
a lot of good stuff.
We got Zion the King, the new LeBron, the new GOAT.
Apparently so. He's better than LeBron, actually, according to some people.
He's played one game.
Yeah, one meaningful game, and then everybody.
That was a
hypes him
meaningful
up.
game though. They whooped up on Kentucky. That was crazy.
Yeah, Kentucky looked like trash. I mean,
That's your number 2 in the country for real.
nah.
That's what they had him as number 2.
They were only number 2 off of like hype. You know, like precedent.
Yeah,
because
because Kentucky's been like that team for a while now, but
Yeah.
but not really. They were that team for a few years, and then like the past couple seasons, I mean, they've been good.
Yeah,
They
they've
haven't
been
been that
okay.
good, though.
Yeah, they've been like B+ the past like 3 or 4 seasons because like they have a lot of. I think that one and done culture is kind of shambolic because like Duke has kind of benefited. They're kind of like the new Kentucky, right?
Yeah, because they've started now really implementing that sort of one and done system. They had Brandon Ingram. Who else did they have?
They had like
Kyrie,
Jahlil Okafor. and all them.
Okafor. That's when they won the championship too. Was with Jahlil Okafor.
Probably so.
Am I
I
correct?
didn't really
I
care
think I'm
about
correct.
Duke.
I don't really care about Duke either, but it is what it is. But Zion, man, oh man.
Yeah, he is exciting to watch though. I like Zion. The reason why a lot of people say like, "Oh, Zion's the new LeBron," is because he's got that build. Like he's built like a defensive end. He should be playing football, but he just so happens to be able to jump extremely high and dunk on people and run up and down the court.
That's the one thing that I'm like really freaking out about is that he's able to run up and down the court like crazy.
Yeah, he's almost 300
for his
pounds.
size. It's insane. Like you remember? I mean, I was not alive when this was going on, and I know you weren't, but like seeing videos of like young Shaq. You remember seeing him with like the Magic? He would like take the ball up and down the court sometimes.
Yeah,
Huh?
Shaq. Yeah, he is kind of like a mix of Shaq and LeBron because he's like the height of LeBron, but he has the build of Shaq when Shaq was a little bit younger. Because Shaq wasn't always as big as he was now, or like as he is now. When Shaq was in high school and when he was in like his early college years, Shaq was more slighter build. He was more kind of like lean and slender. And then he kind of started to fill out his body a little bit more as he got into the pros and got into the NBA. But Zion is already built like a grown man. You know?
Yeah, Zion, he had 28 points? 28,
Yeah,
11 for
28.
13 shooting. The one thing people get on is he doesn't really have a jump shot.
Nah, he doesn't.
Doesn't really matter right now, I don't think.
Not at the moment. But as he gets to the pros, he will need to develop a long distance shot.
But I mean, here's the thing. He's looking so good right now that, I don't think he needs to worry about that. Like, that's not the most pressing issue for him right now. I mean, you see Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons ain't got a jump shot.
No, doesn't.
Not even in the slightest. I think he shot 3 threes last year, and all of them were like at the end of a quarter, and some of them were like half court shots. Like he has nothing. He has no mid range jump shot. He can take you to the basket and score. He can do that. He has no free throw shooting. He can pass better than most.
Yeah, I mean Zion.
Not to say that Ben Simmons and Zion Williamson play the same because they don't. But
nah, they don't. But like Zion, to me, he's not a point guard per se. Like he's not really gonna be distributing the ball and dishing it out to people. He's pretty much gonna be a small forward or like a dominant force, offensive force, like athletic force. So I think what Zion needs to do is he needs to work on his all-around offensive game in terms of mental ability. Because, like, of course, everybody knows he has an athletic ability and the athleticism to do something, but if his mental capacity, like the small things, the paying attention to the details, that's what I think he needs to work on going forward.
Yeah.
and not just try to like bulldoze his way to the basket and stuff, because you're gonna go up against people that are just as strong as you when you get to the pros. So you have to be able to balance.
It's gonna be a
out.
little bit easier right now against guys that, frankly, most of them aren't going to be professional basketball players.
That's true.
And he most certainly is. No doubt in my mind, he's going to be
definitely.
like he's going to be a good, at least a good pro player, at least. But see, am I part of building up the hype for Zion Williamson? He's played one game, and I'm also buying into it, saying, "He's it, guys. This is that man." I don't know. The
feel
hype
like
might be a little much right now.
It is kind of over the top because, like, he appeals to this younger generation. Like, we could just get a lot of views if we just talk about Zion all day and, like, this, like a bunch of stuff that kids like.
Shout out to Zion Williamson dunks.
Yeah, Zion Williamson dunks and Oprah Side or something, whatever his name is. But, like, that's what kids like. Kids like that kind of stuff, that bass kind of, like, just... like stuff that's appealing to watch.
Duke is scary this year, though. Like, they're scary good.
I mean, they got like 3 out of the top 5 players in the country. What do you expect? And they have a Hall of Fame level coach.
Overrated. Just kidding. I can't hate on the man. I can't hate on the man.
I can't hate on Coach K. I don't like him, but I can't hate on him.
Man, I've told this story before already on the podcast, but I've been like very close to Coach K before. That was a pre-studio story, but yeah, I've seen Coach K's with my own eyes and been about as far away from him as I am from you right now. Maybe a little bit further. He was covered by security though. Like there was no getting near him.
I always wonder why the coaches need security. Is somebody just gonna pickpocket them or something?
Here's the thing: he's the only coach I think I've seen that has had security like that. Like I saw Roy Williams at that UNCW game.
Yeah, and there was nobody.
He was just sitting in the stands. He was taking pictures with everyone.
There was nobody around him.
Now, of course, there might be a little bias because I'm a Carolina fan, but I mean, I don't see why anyone would actually like attack Coach K.
Yeah, that's kind of bizarre. Like I don't know if they have security guards to protect him from someone else or to protect the crowd from him,
Yeah, I don't know. But you know what? It is what it is, I guess.
Yeah.
Duke basketball is going to be good this year. Kentucky, that was a rough loss for them, though. That was a rough loss.
Yeah, I don't see them coming back. Kentucky is just going to be the same old for years until they get another good freshman class. But that's all they are is just entertainment. They're not really. They don't have a lot of substance.
Right? Since like Calipari came in,
only one.
Dang.
I think that was like 2012 or something like that.
Dang, man. College basketball is gonna be fun to watch this year. I think though. I mean, I love college basketball.
Yeah, I like it too. It's more entertaining.
It's a different game. I feel like than pro basketball. That is.
Yeah, because like I feel like the players have something to prove because like it's so hard to get to the pros. Like they're playing as hard as they can.
I'm not
trying to get a roster spot or an opportunity to be in the NBA.
I'm not saying that coaches don't matter in the NBA, but I feel like they matter significantly more in college basketball. Maybe it's because those players are more malleable, though. They're more willing to listen to the coach. Maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like they trust the coach a lot more because the coach, most of these top-level coaches have seen and seen a lot of players go to the pros.
You think LeBron James trusts Ty Lue? You think LeBron James trusts Eric Spoelstra? He's like, nah, I got it, man. I got it. But for real, like, you see the way that players look and watch and listen to like Coach K, or they listen to Roy Williams or John Calipari, or anyone like that. I mean, it's definitely different. I think that this year's going to be a good year. Carolina looked good when they played the other night.
I don't know, but who are they playing though? They need to play some top-level competition. It's hard to tell this early on. It's too early. I know everybody hypes up Duke basketball just because they have a lot of talent, and they are going to be good this year. They're probably only going to lose maybe 3 or 4 games. But it's still early on. It's only the second game for most teams, second or third game of the regular season.
Yeah. Didn't Karl Anthony Towns played for Kentucky, right?
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of players that play in the pros now. Like
Yeah.
Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns.
Karl Anthony Towns, one of the reasons why Jimmy Butler left Minnesota. He couldn't deal with it. He couldn't deal with the softness.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. Man, that was interesting. I have a friend, my friend Chase, who was a T-Wolves fan. I think he still is. He's a huge Jimmy Butler fan though.
Jimmy.
Huge Jimmy Butler fan. I think he's a Sixers fan now though.
Probably so now.
No shade, but I mean,
Yeah.
I told him I'm sort of the exact same way with LeBron. Like wherever LeBron goes, I'm gonna pull for that team. Of
I
course.
never do that. See, to me,
I don't even care. I like wear that on my sleeve. I don't even care.
James Harden was one of my favorites, and he is my favorite too. But I'm not gonna just come out and say I'm a Rockets fan, because I don't like the Rockets.
Well, I'm a Wizards fan, but that's not going well.
No,
That's not going well.
definitely not.
So right now, I'm kind of just watching the NBA, like, oh, what's going on this night? By the way, talking about the NBA, my prediction is kind of coming true.
With the Wizards?
No, well, I thought they were gonna be like 9th or 10th in the East.
I mean,
I'm
it's
very
still kinda
wrong.
early.
It's still kind of early, but man, they don't look good. My prediction though about the Bucks.
That they're gonna be playing well.
Yeah, you talked me out of putting them at the 3rd seed.
Hey, it's still early. What? They're 9-3. Okay, after 12 games.
They're the next ones.
Okay. I still don't see them.
For real?
Wait, did I say they were not gonna make the playoffs?
You might have. I don't know.
I can't remember either. But if I did say that, I'm gonna stick with it.
What? That's so silly. They look so good right now.
I don't care about the Bucks. When have the Bucks ever done anything in the past 25, 30 years?
They haven't. Remember they had
Exactly.
Ray Allen.
Michael Redd. Ray Allen, Michael Redd. That was the best team they had. Didn't do a lick.
Man, was Sam Cassell on that team?
I think so. Yeah, they had a lot of good players on that team when it was like Michael Redd and them.
Man, but they're looking well, dude. They got Eric Bledsoe playing well. Who is it? Who was it that like played really well the other night? Oh, God, is it Chris Middleton?
I don't even keep up with these players. They're all irrelevant to me until they win a championship or get to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I watched that game the other night, the Warriors game. You talk for a second. I'm gonna figure this out. They played really well.
Yeah, so they got like Dante DiVincenzo, and he was on Villanova, and I hated him. I couldn't stand him. I hated him like how, cause he's a ginger, right? And I remember he was on ESPN talking, and then they asked him, they ask him like silly questions and stuff like that, and they're like, what's your favorite food? He was like, oh, you should try my mom's pasta, it's the best. I feel like everybody would say that though. That's kind of boring.
Okay, so yeah, they had a lot of players that played well that night. I mean, they had Giannis, of course, who did his thing, but Eric Bledsoe, I was right, Eric Bledsoe, he had 26. And Chris Middleton had 17. Malcolm Brogdon had 20.
I like Malcolm Brogdon, though. I hated him when he was on Virginia. I don't know. I hate a lot of players when they're in college. But it's just because they're so good. But Malcolm Brogdon, I like his style and how he plays. Because he's not normal. Like, he's kind of like, they got him listed at point guard, but he's really more like a 2.5.
Yeah. Man. But I think that here's the prediction now. They're at least going to make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
You think so?
I think so.
Nah, pass.
Pass?
I haven't seen enough.
You haven't watched any games, though, have you?
No. I haven't seen enough.
Man, this is going to be interesting whenever, we start actually watching more games.
Yeah, when I actually get into
Instead of just, like, following. Because I watched that... the Warriors Bucks game just because I like the Bucks. I think that's everyone's like 4th or 3rd favorite team.
The Bucks.
The Bucks.
According to analysts and stuff.
You know what I mean though? Like I feel like everyone's like, yeah, I'm watching the Bucks this year and trying to see what's going on with that.
I hadn't watched them. To me, I can't really get into it until because everybody knows Giannis is good. But what else do they really have on there? Yeah, I know Brogdon is good, Middleton is good. Bledsoe is a role player. Thon Maker, taking up space. Ilyasova, he's there. Dellavedova, what is he doing? I don't know. John Hinson, I don't know.
But I mean, they got, and I think one of the biggest things that happened to them was they got Mike Budenholzer as their head coach now.
Yeah,
that's a big pick. They had Jason Kidd before that. Remember that?
Yeah, that was kind of a joke. I think they just gave that to him just to be nice, just to give him a chance. But he's not.
I mean, no shade towards Jason Kidd, but I mean, it just wasn't working.
Nah, that was not meant to be.
Man, oh man. Yeah, coaches are interesting, man. Scott Brooks gotta go though.
Scott Brooks
for the Wizards.
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yeah, he's got to be shown the door now. Scott Brooks, I mean, he was good a while ago, but I feel like he hasn't shown the ability to adjust at all.
No, it's like I don't even want to watch Wizards games. I watched like one, like a week or two ago, and I'm like, it makes me sad.
Yeah, it's uninspiring.
They don't look like they want to be out there. I mean, you watch John Wall and Bradley Beal play together, and it's just like something's not clicking.
Yeah, because I watched.
But it's been like that for a while. But
yeah, I watched a clip. Stephen A. was cutting into the Wizards bad because he was saying how they were all good, or they have good players and good potential, but he was saying that the players just don't look like they're into it.
Remember what I said whenever we were talking about the Wizards? When we were doing, that's exactly what I said. I'm like, look at the team. They got John Wall, who could be a great player, but isn't living up to his potential. Bradley Beal, who could be a really good player, isn't living up to his potential. Otto Porter Jr. could be a really good player, is not living up to his potential. Kelly Oubre.
Yeah, I remember that.
Man, what a disappointing team. What a disappointing team. And I love them, but something's got to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams on paper that look good in the NBA, and the Wizards are one of them. They're one of those teams where it's like they have at least two good stars, but then everybody else is kind of like the same level on the team, and you can't really win with that.
I thought that having Dwight Howard, especially after last year, was going to be an upgrade for them.
Oh no, he's still missing.
He's still gone. He's still on those milk cartons.
Yeah.
Orlando's still looking for him. He's in a little bus right now, trying to find his way, and he's not finding it.
He's still in the witness protection program. Still can't find it. But
still one of my favorite memories ever, walking around the Orlando Magic's arena saying, where's Dwight?
Has anyone seen Dwight Howard? Because I haven't.
You wanted to talk about something too. I forget what you want to talk about, but Carmelo.
Oh, yeah. Carmelo, the cancer of the NBA. That's harsh.
That is a bit harsh.
But is Carmelo kind of like a poison chalice? Because wherever team he goes, they lose. Because I wanted to make a video on my channel talking about that. Because Carmelo is not a great player anymore. And I saw like a headline saying that one of those analysts or something like that, one of those former players was saying that Carmelo needs to start his farewell tour now.
Who said that? I saw that too. Someone said that.
It was somebody that's on ESPN pretty often. It was either like Chauncey Billups.
Was it? No, was it
like
Richard Jefferson? I think. It was Richard Jefferson.
Yeah, it was him. He said he needs to start his farewell tour, which is true, because he's past his sell-by date. Now I watch Arsenal Fan TV, which is the best soccer channel on YouTube, and everybody should watch it because it's entertaining. There's a guy on there by the name of Claude, and when he talked about Arsenal's old coach, he would always say that he would always compare him to Milk. Arsenal would lose, and they did the same old tactics. They would play the exact same way all the time. So what he'd say was, what do you do with milk when it's gone stale? You don't put it back in the fridge. You throw it out. Carmelo, he needs to be thrown out. He's stale. He's gone stale. So Carmelo, he's past his sell-by date. He's molding in the fridge.
By the way, I don't know if you saw, but Arsenal tied today.
They did tie 1-1 with Wolves.
Mm-hmm. I was getting updates for that earlier, but continue.
Oh, but he's past his sell-by date, and he needs to get taken out because if he stays around longer, he's just gonna infect the rest of the team. He's gonna spread his bad scent to the rest of the players, and they're gonna start to play like trash. And you can see it with the Rockets already. In New York, Carmelo was garbage. He was good for like 1 or 2 seasons, but then he stunk up the joint. He was out of there then. Then he went to OKC. I mean, on paper that team
do we even need
good.
to talk about that? I mean, he was awful there.
Tragic. On paper, the team looked good, but they didn't do anything. And
I love the sort of meme that came out of that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I love the sort of meme that came out of that was like, it shows a picture of like in like their street clothes, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony, and it said like, man, could you imagine if these 3 players teamed up? They'd be unstoppable.
Yeah, right. Minus Carmelo, they might be unstoppable. Carmelo is not good. And once again, I always say this every time I talk bad about a player. I say I hate to bash a player like that, but he's got to go. He's got to go.
So when you say he's got to go, you mean he's got to retire?
Yes, he has to. I'm gonna tell you why. Him and Dwyane Wade are in the same boat. I'm glad Dwyane Wade is retiring finally. When you have these players that have been around the league since the early 2000s, they've seen a lot of different eras, and they grew up in a different era, and they grew up playing a different style of basketball. Now it's a different age. It's more quick passing. You still have a little bit of ISO, but it's more quick isolation and more long-range shots. They grew up in an era where you had to be good 1v1, taking it to the basket, going past your man and stuff, and being strong in the inside. These guys are not contributing to the future of the game. So they're kind of trying to hold on to that old school, to the past, to the old style they used to play. And that's not going well now. That's not improving the game, and it's not moving the game forward. All these old guys need to be out the game. Dwyane Wade needs to retire.
Good thing he is, too.
Thank God.
Here's the thing. Love Dwyane Wade. What he did in 2006 was one of the best finals performances ever. A lot of people say it was the best finals performance since one of the Jordan finals. I don't know. I didn't watch Jordan play. But what he did in 2006 was incredible. Him on the Miami Heat teams with LeBron, even before LeBron he was there, he was great. But, I mean, he wasn't really making it to the finals. But I mean, he was doing all right in the playoffs, but he wasn't really a factor. Then you had whenever LeBron got there. And he still played well for the first couple years. Then that's when you started to see
the decline,
the deterioration of his body. His body kind of turned on him. That's what happens when you play that way, though.
Yeah.
He was such a physical player. That, I mean, eventually, if you keep jumping, those knees are going to start giving.
Mm-hmm. He has glass knees, man. They finally shattered. But Dwyane Wade, the way he plays, I used to like Dwyane Wade when he was younger. Like that 2006 Dwyane Wade, like you said, he was really good because he was a dynamic athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He could jump really high. He was explosive. He could get to the basket quick. He could take jump shots. But Dwyane Wade people say he's a crafty player, but he's a borderline cheater. So when he would shoot, he would like stick his leg out and stuff like that and try to draw fouls. And then he like lean. Every time he would like try to draw fouls and then fall on the floor almost every single time. I need you to go back and look at some of those old clips. And Dwyane Wade would always throw his body to the ground unnecessarily to try to draw a foul. So all that constantly hitting the floor over and over and over again takes a toll on your body. And I feel like if he had just stayed on his feet and not tried to draw so many fouls, he would still be in the league playing well, even at this late in his career, because that style, he just tried to draw too many fouls and he tried to be too physical, and that just kind of wore down his body a little bit.
Now, back to Carmelo. I mean, it's just like, what are you gonna do with him? I mean, he's got to go. Like, and he's so stubborn that he didn't want to come off the bench, because he still thinks he's a starter.
Woo! You're having a laugh. Oh my God! What? Carmelo is not arrogant, but he is foolish.
He is arrogant.
He is foolish to think that at his age and the relatively little success that his teams have had while he's starting can result in him starting. He needs to come off the bench, swallow your pride, and do what's best for the team. He's not a team player. Everybody knows that.
If he had a positive attitude about what he was doing, he might be able to have an effective role coming off the bench. But that's why I say he's got to go, because he doesn't have the mentality to do that.
Absolutely not.
His mentality is, I'm a superstar. I'm the guy. I'm starting, and I'm going to score a bunch of points.
It's like, Carmelo, this isn't 2005 anymore. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to play in a different way. You got to be able to move the ball around and zip the ball around and move out the ball. And then when you get an open shot, you need to be able to make the open shot, because that's the best shot at the point in time.
If he could just become, here's the thing, he is a very good offensive player. At least, like, he was. But if he could adapt his game to become some sort of spot-up shooter.
Oh, too late.
I think so, too. But if he could have done that, I think OKC was a good time for him. Like, it wasn't a good time. It could have been a good time for him.
Yeah, it was
to adapt his game.
Exactly. Like you said, it's a good opportunity for him to get.
Opportunity, that's the word.
A good opportunity for him to adjust and learn how to play a different style that could potentially, because all that's doing the same stuff has got him no success. All this playing 1v1 and I'm just going to take a shot from 30 feet, all that has gotten him nowhere. No championships, no opportunities to go to the finals. So he's just been a loser. He done nothing. So
but what's
you just
funny
need to
to
adjust
see,
the style.
And now I'm talking about someone specifically, but I won't say it. But certain people think that, like, he's gonna, like, he's still, I don't know, like, he still can do something.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say this. Max Kellerman is a fraud. He still thinks Carmelo is a good player. Even Stephen A.
thinks he's a great player still. That's what I was gonna say. Stephen A. was thinking, like, if Carmelo, it's not Carmelo. He's saying it's not Carmelo's fault that the Houston Rockets are bad, which it's not entirely their fault. I mean, they lost Trevor Ariza and Luka Mbamute. Those were two defensive players they needed that helped them last year. But at the same time, I mean, who came to the team for them?
Yeah, like I was going to say, I meant to say Stephen A. first, but Max Kellerman defends him sometimes, but that's just because he's from New York. But he doesn't defend him as harsh as Stephen A. Stephen A. is a fraud for saying that. You can't say Carmelo.
I mean, I know that him and Carmelo, they're kind of tight.
He's just saying that just to keep his connections, like he does with Kobe and stuff. He won't come out and bash Kobe because they're kind of close, and Kobe gives him a lot of information, inside information. But Carmelo is finished. Stephen A., you just got to call a spade a spade. Carmelo is not a contributor in the NBA anymore. He needs to go overseas or retire. I prefer retire.
And like I said, there was a chance where he could have had extended his career. I don't think that that's available to him anymore. Because if he was able to change his mentality, it's all about the mentality. Maybe he could have become a different style player. Maybe he could have become a spot-up shooter. But he doesn't want to do that.
No.
And I think he's too far gone now to want to do that.
Yeah, like I said, he's past his sell-by date, and he needs to get thrown out before his the mold and stuff spreads.
Man.
I know it's kind of
disappointing. Rockets, disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Wizards, disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Bucks, looking very good.
Could be disappointing at the end of the
I
season.
don't think so. I think they're gonna do well. Man, the Sixers got interesting though.
Oh yeah.
With Jimmy.
Good old Jimmy the Butler.
Yo, your video clips for that are like the thumbnails you use for those are hilarious.
I know, I designed that.
But
I messed it up though.
No,
with
here's the thing.
Photoshop.
You had Jimmy the Butler like doing the Fresh Prince thing, and then he ended up going to Philadelphia.
I know, right? I didn't even think about that. I was just thinking about. I'll tell you how I came up with that, because it was like, I was like Jimmy Butler. Like in one of those videos, I was talking about Jimmy Butler, and I showed The Butler, like the movie The Butler, and Lee Daniels movie The Butler, and I showed him. And then my brother was like, "Oh, you should put Jeffrey from Fresh Prince." And then I was like, "Oh, okay, that's a good idea." So then I put Jeffrey the Butler. And then it showed Fresh Prince, and he's from Philadelphia, Will Smith. And then he ended up going to Philadelphia. I was like, wow, what a coincidence.
So it just worked out. But Jimmy Butler is now a Philadelphia 76er.
Absolutely, 100%.
I know you made a video about this, but thoughts?
Now, I think that Jimmy Butler, he fits the team pretty well. Like, I like how he plays because he's not, like I said in that video, he's like a diet Kawhi Leonard. And what I mean by that is he's a good like two-way player. He's probably the second best two-way player. He probably either second or third.
You got
three.
to put Clay up there too.
I'm talking about in terms of like three. Yeah, okay, I'll put him up there. Yeah, but he's a top 5 two-way player, top 5 or top 3. But I like Jimmy Butler's style because he can play defense. He'll yell at his teammates if he has to.
Oh, you like that meme I sent you?
That meme was funny though.
Yo, Markelle Fultz better be hitting those jumpers in practice, or else Jimmy's gonna come at his throat.
Yeah, he'll go bark at him.
Yeah, like that story when Jimmy Butler led the second unit to beat the starters in practice for the Timberwolves.
Jimmy Butler is such a tryhard, though. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but this is the pros, man. You got to calm down sometimes. But I like the intensity, but I don't know. He might have to kick it up.
It's going to be weird because he's going from one young team to another young team.
Yeah, I don't know.
Or at least with young stars.
And, like, he was saying that Karl Anthony Towns is soft and that Canadian Andrew Wiggins is soft. But you're going to 2 other foreigners as the stars on the team. Dude, they could be soft as well. You know, they're foreign. Joel Embiid's from Cameroon. Ben Simmons from Australia. You know, he could be a little soft. So it just depends on how Jimmy Butler wants to pursue it. Does he want to be more direct again and take the direct approach? And you saw how that turned out.
Yeah.
Or does he want to be more of like a mentor and say, okay, guys, we got to get it together and play hard and stuff, be more positive?
Yeah. Man. But this is going to be interesting to watch with Jimmy Butler being the guy.
So what do you think about Jimmy Butler in terms of, what do you think about that whole situation? Did you think it was just like he should have handled it a different way, or do you think he was right to just kick up a fuss and stuff like that?
See, that's the difficult part. And I think we've talked about this before, but that's the difficult part is if what Jimmy Butler was saying is true about the team, I can understand why he was upset. And he gave them chances. He did. He was there for a year. But the other part of that is, why are you ratting on your team like that? And he's just the good thing is now that I think this is best for both parties, for Jimmy Butler and for the Timberwolves, because that was a toxic thing to have in your locker room. Mm-hmm. Someone who is that, I mean, he was just not happy with what was going on, and he was showing it in practice. He was showing it, by not playing in certain games. I mean, they want to say he was like, resting or he wasn't feeling
sandbagging.
Well. But no, he didn't want to play. Not for that team. And I know that he's even said like Tibbs is his guy, but
maybe I feel like he just didn't like the players on the team, because I think he still would have played
very
for
apparent.
Thibodeau. Yeah.
Him and Andrew Wiggins, you could tell they did not get along at all.
I tell you what I think
Soft.
It was. I think he saw a lot of potential in the players, but I think he was just kind of disappointed with their level of effort, because he probably said to Karl Anthony Towns, "Man, I wish I was 6'11" and 270. I wish I could do all these
Yeah.
things, shoot threes like you can and stuff, and have a diverse a diverse set of skills and moves and stuff like that. I feel like he thought they were just sandbagging just as much because they knew they didn't have a chance to win anything, and that's somewhat true. I know Jimmy Butler. My cousin told me that he kind of wanted to go the Jimmy Butler route because Jimmy Butler has never been handed anything in his life. He went to junior college for a year, and then after junior college, and you don't see a lot of professional like NBA stars and stuff that have went to junior college. So Jimmy Butler, he went to junior college 1 year. He had to work hard because he didn't play at a D1 school right out of high school. So he worked hard, practiced, had to train extremely hard, and then fought his way to get an opportunity at Marquette. Then when he went to Marquette, he played hard, rugged, showed everything that he could do as well. And he knew that if he didn't play hard or he didn't show up, he would get kicked off the team because, he wasn't an original. They didn't originally get him right out of high school. So he had to work his way through the team to get his opportunities and try hard, not just show up and expect it, have everything handed to you.
And it seems like that paid off for him because now he's what? Would you say he's a top 20 player in the league?
Oh, yes. By far, definitely.
For sure. And maybe even top 15. Like, but he's definitely one of the best players in the league. But that mentality that you're talking about, that nothing is given, everything is earned. I think that really rubbed him the wrong way in Minnesota because he has that mentality, and you have people like Karl Anthony Towns who have like all these God-given gifts.
Yeah, his height and stuff.
Yeah, that, or like the athleticism of Andrew Wiggins, and they're just kind of
blasey blah, blah-de blah,
very blasé about everything.
Yeah.
And then there were moments. There are definitely moments Andrew Wiggins wouldn't show up, but then there were moments that Karl Anthony Towns wouldn't show up.
I think that's the one that really got him was Karl Anthony Towns because Karl Anthony Towns is pretty much 7 feet tall, and he has a wide array of skills. He can do a lot of things. He can shoot from the outside. He can drive into the basket. He can protect on the inside. And I think Jimmy Butler was just angry because he said, look, you had a chance to go to Kentucky. You played with some of the best players ever. You had all the opportunities to shine on the big stage before you even got to the NBA, and you're pretty much squandering your youth by just giving up on your talent and ability and giving up on the team and not trying your absolute hardest to be the best product and put on the best product you can on the court. So I think Jimmy Butler was definitely angry with Karl Anthony Towns with just his level of effort, and he probably said, wow, this guy is so soft. I can't. He said, I'm not used to dealing with this type of thing. Because think about it, Tom Thibodeau was his coach, and in Chicago, they had a lot of rugged players as well. They had Carlos Boozer. They had Taj Gibson. They had, like Lou Alding, Carlos Boozer, Taj Gibson. A lot of players they played a aggressive style on defense. They played hard because a lot of them didn't. Like Taj Gibson, he wasn't just handed all these opportunities. He had to work hard for where he was at and his opportunities he got.
Man, yeah, I think that this was a good thing though for them. It'll be interesting to see how Jimmy meshes with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, but I think that he might even make them better if they're more willing than Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns to sort of adapt to the way that Jimmy Butler plays. That could be a dangerous team.
It could be. I feel like the one that he will have to cut into some is Ben Simmons.
You think so?
That's going to be the softy right here.
Well, him and Cat are friends. You know that?
Ugh. Oh, I could see it. But I think Joel Embiid, he won't have to cut into him as hard because Joel Embiid is kind of a joker. And he clowns a lot, but he actually tries hard to win. He does not accept losing.
No. Joel Embiid is one of the most interesting players to watch because, like, if you look at him statistically, he's had one of the best, like, I think I saw something the other day, one of the best first 100 games ever of any player ever. Potentially the best first 100 games of his career. Now, those 100 games have been spread out over, like 3 or 4 seasons.
Because of injuries, yeah.
But he's getting healthier, I think. Like, he's not out for long periods of time anymore.
Yeah, because I remember when Embiid was in college, everybody was like, "Oh, who is this guy?" And then they were like, he got injured and stuff. And then when he got drafted, I think like 3rd overall.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, why is he getting drafted 3rd overall? He couldn't even stay on the court. But you have seen, and I have seen, that his skills kind of are very good, and they're really something different than what you see from a lot of big men now. He's more of he gives a different look to the middle, like to the center position nowadays.
Okay, so I'm kind of switching lanes very quickly on you, but I want to ask you a question, because this is something that this might be my first real foray into something, and I kind of want to get your expertise on it. What do you think of Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury?
Yeah, dang, I can't believe we're talking about boxing.
I'll say this right up front. I have not really watched boxing ever. I mean, I watched the McGregor Mayweather event. I'm a big UFC fan. Like, I'm a very big MMA fan in general. I watch Bellator, UFC. Very big fan. But I've never really gotten into boxing. And I think that this Wilder-Fury fight is going to be my first real foray into watching boxing. So I want to, Ryan, who is, would you say you've been a lifelong boxing fan?
No. I've been a boxing fan for the past like 2.5 years.
Okay, so you have a sort of idea of like the history of boxing and just the sweet science itself.
I love that word, the sweet science. I could say that word over and over again.
But sort of give me and anyone else who's listening your perspective on this Wilder-Fury fight, and kind of give some history behind it too, if you can.
All right, so I wouldn't say I'm an expert at boxing, because I grew up in the Mayweather era, right? So I'm gonna break it down for you round by round. In the Mayweather era, what he did was he kind of commercialized boxing to the point where they would barely show it on public cable TV. So every time I would grow up, if you wanted to see a Mayweather fight, you had to pay like for pay-per-view or something like that, or be on HBO or something like that, extra money, not just on cable. Like, you wouldn't see it on CBS or NBC or ESPN or something like that.
Which seems like it's changing, because I guess boxing has to deal with ESPN now.
Yeah, because HBO boxing is getting shut down, or they're stopping all their funding for HBO boxing. But anyways, I grew up in that Mayweather era in the early 2000s and the mid 2000s and stuff. And they would show some Mayweather fights on TV, but I was so young, like I couldn't really get into it. And then by the time I started to learn more about boxing, they'd be like, "Oh, you heard of Floyd Mayweather?" I'd be like, "Yeah, he's gonna fight so and so."
What, like
Jose Corrales or he's gonna fight Manny Pacquiao.
Who was it? Who was like the big one before, like the real big one before Pacquiao? Like what's his name? Juan
Manuel Marquez.
There's that. Who else? Who's the promoter now?
Bob Arum?
No. Like the promoter that he fought. Who he was not a promoter at the time. Who is that? Wow, I feel dumb. I knew who it was, but
I don't even know. Well, I don't want to sound like I'm messing.
All right, you keep talking. I'll figure it out.
Yeah. But I'm gonna keep it going. So Floyd Mayweather, right? I grew up in that Mayweather era, and then by the time I grew up and knew about boxing and stuff like that, it was kind of past. It was out of my kind of, because my dad loved boxing when he was a kid. You know, watching Muhammad Ali. That's still probably his favorite athlete, either him or Jordan. And all these, like, when I was growing up, let me say this again. My dad, when he was growing up, all of these boxing matches and stuff with like Tyson, Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, all that stuff was just on regular cable, like NBC and stuff like that, and ABC and CBS, all the big companies. And then when Mayweather came, it started getting moved to more like pay-per-view. They started with him and Oscar De La Hoya, and they started kind of more.
Oscar De La Hoya, that's who it was.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you were saying, but yeah, Oscar De La Hoya, all of them, they kind of started commercializing boxing, and so what that kind of did was that made it so the casual fan couldn't really watch it because nobody really wants to pay $60 or $70 for a fight. If you're just a normal person, you want to just turn on, like, imagine if the Super Bowl. I know most people would probably pay for the Super Bowl, but imagine if the Super Bowl, you had to pay for the Super Bowl.
It would not get as many views as it does now.
It wouldn't. And
not even close, I would think.
And some of these fighters fight like 2 or 3 times. Like, nobody wants to pay for that. Pay $60 or $70 for 2 or 3 times a year just to watch one fight. So I say all this because this is kind of more like a resurgence. They're trying to get more into boxing. And yes, it's probably going to be on Showtime, this fight. And you do have to pay for Showtime, but they're trying to get more boxing matches on regular cable TV. So I say all that to go to the backstory. Okay. That's why I don't consider myself an expert at boxing. All right. So Deontay Wilder, he is a undefeated fighter. He's like 40-0, 39-0, 40. He's like 40-0 with 39 knockouts, which is crazy. But a lot of people say he's only fought bums, which is hard to say because, like, if you're a heavyweight and you knock out 30, he knocked out everybody he's fought. So, like, one guy he did fight, like, the one guy he didn't knock out, he came back and knocked out last November. So he's kind of trying to build himself up into something better and greater, and he's trying to ultimately fight Anthony Joshua. Then we have Tyson Fury.
So then what's going on with Anthony Joshua? Just
as an aside.
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua, he's promoted by Eddie Hearn. And Eddie Hearn he's really trying to marinate the fight. And he's like trying to, because now with HBO being out, they did fight a lot on HBO, and they have competing networks. So HBO and then Showtime, they compete directly against each other. But now that HBO is being out and they're starting to end, they're kind of moving towards his new app called DAZN. And on there, they have, like, fights and stuff, too. So he's trying to get Deontay Wilder to fight on there instead of, like, HBO or Showtime because they feel like they can make a lot more money. It's kind of like a pay subscription-based thing. It's like $10 or something like that. And that's why that whole difficulty with the situation, a lot of it was with the networks, but a lot of it is just with promotional stuff. And so Deontay Wilder promised that he would pay Anthony Joshua $50 up front to fight him, $50 million up front, guaranteed. And then he would do like add-ons and stuff for like advertisements and stuff. And now Deontay Wilder, all that was just like, you know, promotional stuff, and they couldn't really come to an agreement, and they're really trying to marinate the fight and find the right time. But I think they should go ahead and just fight and just do a trilogy and get it over with and make as much money as they can, because that's $100 million fight easily. Anyways, Fury was a drug addict, and he did drugs, and he was out, and I think he was out for like 3 years or something like that.
He beat who'd he beat to become heavyweight champion? What was his name?
Klitschko?
Yeah, Vladimir Klitschko, who at the time was just dominating people.
Yeah, the Klitschkos, it was 2 of them, but the main one, Vladimir Klitschko, he was a dominant fighter because he kind of took advantage of the lull in the heavyweight division between like Mike Tyson being phased out, and then there was really nobody else after that.
So for that, it was just Klitschko basically.
Yeah. It was like between Mike Tyson and then like Lennox
Lewis?
Yeah, Lennox Lewis, and then like what's the other guy's name? I could see his face right now.
But yeah, what I know about Tyson Fury is that he became heavyweight champ, beat Vladimir Klitschko, and then just kind of went off the rails.
Mm-hmm.
Like gained a ton of weight, got addicted to drugs.
Yeah, drugs. That was bad.
But he's like undefeated. In some ways, maybe even untested. As from what I hear, I don't know. I haven't watched him fight, but from what it sounds like,
those are pretty much his warm up fights. and the other person was David Haye in that earlier era, talking about Vladimir Klitschko. But yeah, Fury, what he needs to do is he's been training and stuff and getting back, but he said he weighed over like almost 400 pounds, if not over 400 pounds, and he's now down to like
250. I heard.
Yeah, like between 250 and like 280. But when you get in the heavyweight, you just need to be over 200 pounds. But he definitely need to lose some weight so he could be able to move and stuff and box. So this fight is gonna be interesting. I think Deontay Wilder. This will be a good fight to prove, because a lot of people say they're not gonna give him credit regardless. If he beats Fury, everybody's gonna say, "Oh my God, he beat a bum, he beat a drug addict and stuff. Who cares about this? He just needs to go ahead and fight Joshua." But I think it's a good test because Fury is still a good boxer, and it really doesn't matter who you beat as long as you face top level competition. You still have to go in there, fight the man, and beat him. So if he knocks him out, it's an improvement. Like, it's nothing wrong with knocking somebody out that you're supposed to knock out.
Yeah.
And it'll just be good competition to build up towards the Anthony Joshua
I hear that
fight.
this is going to be a really good fight for boxing in general. Like, maybe not business wise, but for people who love boxing. And this is kind of like the fight for who's going to fight Anthony Joshua either first, or who's going to fight Anthony Joshua is what I'm hearing.
Exactly. They're both kind of deciding. It's going to be who to decide who gets the opportunity to fight Joshua. But I don't like all this, like, you got to fight this guy. Every time they always say, you got to fight someone else before you fight me and stuff like that. I hate seeing that in boxing. All the guys just need to fight each other. How come Deontay Wilder can't fight Fury and then say he loses or wins? How come both of them can't fight Anthony Joshua? You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that?
I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that, but I think the big thing for them is, like, the money thing. Because coming from someone that watches MMA, your record, I mean, it matters. It doesn't matter as much as it does in boxing.
No, it doesn't.
In boxing, if you lose, or if you have, like, 3 to 5 losses, you're a bum. That's what it sounds like.
Mm-hmm. But Ali lost more than 3 to 5 fights. He lost, I think 6.
But I mean, that's sort of like today, because maybe that has something to do with Floyd.
Yeah,
because Floyd has kind of made his whole thing is that he's never been beaten.
Yeah, he kind of hypes up his if you got a loss, then that's terrible. And he dropped out of this one fight with like a kickboxer or something like that. Because
that was really weird.
That was a bizarre
for like
situation.
2 days. He was gonna fight this kickboxer. There was no rules. There was no thing. He was gonna fight him on New Year's Eve, under special rules, I think is what they said, but it wasn't specified. No round length or the amount of rounds determined. And then he just dropped out. He's like, I was misinformed as to what this would be.
Yeah, because he knew he could probably lose, but
he's so funny. He's not very. I mean, he's smart because he's made a lot of money. He's obviously smart, but the way he does not communicate well.
Nah, he.
Have you seen him on First Take?
Well, where he like pauses a lot when he speaks. I'm
the A side. The McGregor team is they're the B side. They're the B side. We're the money team. We're like, what's he doing? Floyd just. Not gonna lie, my favorite thing about the whole Conor McGregor Floyd Mayweather thing was like all the Floyd can't read stuff.
Yeah,
that was the funniest thing.
That was so bad, man.
And then I looked it up, and like there were videos of like Floyd having people read things to him, and I was like, "What?"
I can't believe that. It's like you can't pick up anything at just looking at contracts or anything like that, or. But I'm not surprised.
I mean, I don't know what's going on with him, but he might actually have like something. Like, he might be dyslexic or something, but I don't know.
No, he's got a lot of brain damage now.
That is true. But when Conor was talking about how he can't read, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous.
He was telling the truth. But yeah, Floyd, he's made a lot of money, but he's done some good things for boxing, some bad in terms of the commercialization of being undefeated. Because that's why a lot of these fighters are scared to fight each other. They're so scared to lose, but losing is a part of the game.
You gotta learn from your losses too.
Yeah, it's a part of the sport. It's like the Golden State Warriors are by far the best team in the league, in the NBA, but they still lose games. It's a part of because it builds character.
They lost a championship.
Mm-hmm.
And they learned from it. And they got Kevin Durant.
Hey, that's one way to do it.
That's one way to do it, I guess. That's not how I would do it, but I mean, well, who am I to say? Maybe I probably would do it. I don't know.
You gotta win. While you're winning, you gotta keep it going.
At the end of the day, should I watch the Fury Wilder fight?
Yes.
Like, if this is like my first major event that's like real boxing, should I watch it?
Yes. I don't know if it's gonna be a knockout though, because this is where betting comes in kind of crazy. There's a funny YouTube channel called Casual Boxing Talk. He is so funny, man. But he bets with YouTubers on who's going to win. And he always has the most outrageous bets. He'll be like, I'm going to hedge the bet. I think so-and-so is gonna get knocked out in the 6th round or something like that. He said, but if this doesn't happen, I got the other guy by a split decision. And like, he's like, I hedged the bet, though. I hedged the bet. And like, he's crazy, like, because he talks a lot of in-depth on boxing, but it's so entertaining. I wish I could make videos like he does, but man.
Any final thoughts on anything?
My final thoughts, I just want to say that I like college basketball.
Me too.
Because the players, you can tell they play hard for a reason, and they haven't got tainted by the money. Some of them.
What?
Some of them got tainted. Everybody gets paid.
Did you pay attention to what happened last year? Do you know what happened last year? All the
with who?
The money in college basketball and DeAndre Ayton.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
I mean, they haven't been tainted by the money. Of course, they've been tainted by the money.
I know what you
mean. Not like NBA players. I get that.
Yeah, it's not like they get paid to like lose games and stuff. That's what I'm trying to say.
I get that.
And it's like they haven't got big contracts and stuff.
Yeah, but so is that your final thoughts for?
Yeah, I just
do you like college basketball?
I like college basketball because they play with a lot of intensity and they try hard. And that's it.
That's it. All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to the Dreams Come True podcast sports edition. Hopefully we'll be having some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. We have potentially 2 other different podcasts. Potentially. We definitely have one other podcast. Can you say anything about that? We definitely have another one, right?
Yeah, we'll get it cracking.
And me. And then we might have another one kind of under the same branch of 2 different people, 2 friends of mine, talking about some stuff. But, more on that later. And just to wrap everything up, I want to give a shout-out to our producer, Darian Erickson, man behind the screen. So, I'm Austin Hinson, that's Ryan Monroe, and we are ready to